Hey there, Ramblers. Back with another nice sunny day. Another walking and talking video. This time I'm coming at you with a review of the latest scary movie. I just came out of a fan early screening. Not really early, but I was out on a date. We went out and caught the fan event screening of Scary Movie. I gotta be honest, it's a mixed bag with more bad than good. Granted, it's a scary movie. This time it's with the Wayans brothers coming back to write it, and I think it's the first time they did since, I think, the second movie. And I just now recall that they've done one or two, maybe three, I don't know, can't keep up with other spoof movies of horror movies, but it wasn't under the Scary Movie umbrella. So this is their first return to a proper scary movie with Cindy and everybody else and all that stuff, right? And not to be all wishy-washy, but comedy, of course, is subjective. That being said, however, this one wasn't as good as I was hoping for. A lot of the more stronger and better written jokes were listed in were shown in the trailer, and hats off for a major studio, or at least with the Wayans brothers, willing to go there with some of the jokes about lampooning all the modern wokeisms and stuff, and reverent humor and all that. But it's a little bit more raunchy than what you're used to from the later movies and stuff. Especially with 3, because Scary Movie 3, I think, was done by the same guys who did Airplane. And that one was a little bit more, I don't know, I really liked the, I really liked the jokes in 3. 3 was the one I've seen the most. This one, however, had a lot of dick and fart jokes and a lot of sexual stuff and all that stuff. And it's just, yeah, those were funny, but what this movie suffered from is it was just bit setup after bit setup after bit setup. It was a lot of it was really disjointed. Again, compared to the at least the first 2 movies. I mean, the first one was straight up a slasher spoof, so it followed the same general plot line as the first Scream, and then it lampoons of various movies and movie tropes and stuff like that throughout. And then the second one did, I think, The Haunting, right? So it's everybody's trapped in a haunted mansion, and they lampoon a bunch of jokes and even stuff outside of horror movies at that again. And then 3, as the series went on, and I noticed that it started becoming way more disjointed, but still had a plot through line. This one was very disjointed, so I knew what they were trying to do with some of the jokes, but it was so disconnected. It was just almost like a series of skits and bits. Again, this is subjective, so if you're really going in fully expecting just straight up just dumb laughs and stuff, then that's what you're going to get, and this one delivered on it. My girlfriend, she liked the jokes some of the jokes actually landed better with her than it did for me. And there's one particular section that I was not expecting that I laughed the hardest at, and then it was actually really well done. So I'm trying to avoid spoilers here. But other than that, I don't know. It's just it didn't do as much for me as I was hoping for. Again, props to it to going to where the jokes were. They didn't shy away from some of the topics of the, some of the butts of the jokes, essentially. So, the hats off to the Wayans brothers for willing to go there. It was just, I don't know. The movie should have benefited with a little bit more focus and a through line with the characters and the plots, so that the jokes would string together a little better, because of the way it was segmented and disjointed and all that, it was just there was no continuity. It was partially just a little confusing, and it was just not, you know what I mean? It's just it was more like a variety sketch thing rather than a proper spoof movie. Now, again, I will obviously say, in terms of parodies and stuff, I had a better time with the Naked Gun reboot and Fuck 'Em Hall, and with their respective genres of parody. Naked Gun being a police drama parody, and of course Fuck 'Em Hall being a period piece spoof. And I just enjoyed those better than this one. I think that they could have they tried squeezing too much references into one movie, I guess, and so this really could have been strung out with 2 or 3 better scary movies if they wanted to string the jokes out to where it's like better for quality over quality and quantity, I guess. This one was just too much crammed in one movie, I feel like, so to the point where a lot of the jokes felt kind of rushed to me. Some landed better than others. I will say that it did get some laughs on it. So again, subjective. Comedy is subjective. That's my take on it. So I just didn't quite enjoy it as much as I did. Did get a cool poster with it at the movie. So for, I guess, normies and people who aren't really have that kind of discerning tastes, you could probably have it just go with some friends and stuff, have a good laughs and stuff for the weekend. But if you want a little bit more to it in your humor, I'm not talking about like, you know, subtle, posh sort of like Apatow or like, you know, Wes Anderson style, you know, witty and quirky type. No, like, you know, it doesn't need to be like the Coen brothers, smart, Edgar Wright style comedy. Just, I want more, and that's where a lot of spoof movies, I think, really suffered from, and the string of the really crappy ones in the late 2000s had that problem too, where it was just totally random, it was unfunny and all that stuff. This one is not as bad as those. I will say that. But it's not as good as it's not as good as a peak of scary movie, as particularly the first three. I think 4 is when you started to see the problems starting to show in terms of like how disjointed everything was, but it still had some sort of a through line. This one attempted that, but it just wasn't as tightly put together. So yeah. So it was funny seeing a lot of the main characters back and some showing back up. It was not as good put together as I was hoping for. So yep, there it is. There's my review for Scary Movie. Looks like it is gonna have. There's a lot of anticipation for it, and it is look like it's gonna have a solid opening this weekend. So, you know, I mean, audiences are gonna be liking it, but just who knows if the word of mouth is gonna maintain. So hopefully these projections are on just anticipation alone. So yeah. Anyways, here's my review for the latest Scary Movie, which I think would be the 6th one. I think they renamed it to just Scary Movie, but yeah. So there it is. So I got a few laughs, but not throughout. You know, I got a couple of chuckles, but it was just not. Yeah, just watching it, I just couldn't keep it out of my mind in terms of just like how noticeably disjointed it felt like to me. And then by the end, it got really meta, which that's when it got a little bit more clever. But that flew in the face of the kind of humors it was already using already, you know? So like it couldn't pick one. Yeah, it would have benefited from being split apart with several movies. And it could have, but... Here you go. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. I'm going to whip up another video soon here while I still got the time. So, see ya.